Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books, and I've been covering Warner Bros. Discovery quite closely over these last few months. David Zaslav is going to be destroying the woke Lord of the Rings franchise. It's not just me saying that. Screen Rant, which is pretty well-respected publication, says Warner Bros. Discovery just destroyed the Rings of Power. And he did. How did he destroy it? Well, he made an announcement at their most recent earnings announcement that Warner Brothers has made a deal with Embracer Corp, the company that owns the film rights to Lord of the Rings, to make new Lord of the Rings movies. They're not going to be woke movies. It's not going to be Rings of Power. Even CNN says, oh, Lord of the Rings is woke. Whoa, when wokeness comes to Middle-earth, why some say diverse casting ruins the new Lord of the Rings series. And when you say some, it's not 3 people. It's a good, large percentage of the people who actually care about the franchise, the Lord of the Rings. So you've heard probably by now that movies are going to be made by Warner Brothers focused on the Lord of the Rings franchise. It is going to happen. Their animated movie is already in production and has a 2024 release date. We'll talk about that too. But this is one of the great things about Zaslav and Warner Bros. Discovery. He's the CEO of Warner Bros. Discovery. He's focused just on making money, honoring what the franchises are all about when they're making films based on intellectual property. And this is the thing that we need to get rid of the people who are trying to take over franchises, trying to take over stories that are classic stories and turn them into something completely bland, ruined, and destroyed. This whole idea of we need to have different kinds of casting and change stories and tell ideological lessons that are different from what the stories were all about. It's not a good trend. It destroys classic literature. It's not what producing good content and good movies, books, good stories, good comic books is all about. So it's a great thing to see. And we're going to get into this in more detail. Before we do, please be sure you subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications and give me a thumbs up. I really do appreciate you guys. It's always great to see your comments and I appreciate you watching the videos. Zaslav specifically announced, so he's taking Amazon on directly here, that their move at Warner Brothers to launch a new Lord of the Rings movie series will take away some of the momentum that Amazon has enjoyed from its launch of a series based on the novel. So Zaslav is basically saying this, hey, we control Warner Brothers now. Lord of the Rings, classic franchise, but we're the people that risk the money on making these movies those years ago. We're the people that promoted these movies. We're the people that made sure these movies got out to the public. And then here comes Amazon that wants to trade off of the investment and the success made by Warner Brothers to go ahead and make their woke version of Lord of the Rings, wipe away the franchise, which, by the way, of course, detracts from the value of the library of the trilogy that Warner Brothers made for Lord of the Rings. So Amazon going in there and fooling around with the franchise is bad business for Warner Brothers. Well, this is the response from David Zaslav. Okay, well, we'll just spend a good couple of $100 million, maybe $1 billion. We've got the cash. You know that they do. They'll make movies and they'll actually be good. From Screen Rant, Warner Brothers just destroyed the Rings of Power, with Warner Brothers working on a new Lord of the Rings movie. In the near future, the news has possibly destroyed the future of Rings of Power. And it's not just a movie. It's going to be a series of several movies. Set in Middle-earth, the Rings of Power isn't in the same time period as Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power focuses on a lesser-known period of Middle-earth history, one that Tolkien explored, the Silmarillion, which is the blueprint for the Lord of the Rings timeline. The latter is set around 1,000 years before the events narrated in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings ever happened. In fact, the Rings of Power is set in Middle-earth's Second Age, whereas both The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings are entirely set in the Third Age. It seems that Warner Brothers wants to take advantage of the success and fame of the Lord of the Rings franchise once again, even if this may affect the future and success of Amazon's Rings of Power, however. The studio announced that its intention of making more of the Lord of the Rings films. However, in fact, not only does Warner Brothers intend on making a new Lord of the Rings movie, but it also seems to be set in a similar time frame to the much-beloved Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. This could be bad news for Rings of Power. Well, it will be bad news for Rings of Power, because these guys at Warner Brothers are serious about doing quality content. In this article from Hollywood Reporter, discussing the new Lord of the Rings movies in the works at Warner Brothers New Line, they talk about how the Warner Brothers people actually reached out to Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson directed the Lord of the Rings trilogy, released from 2001 to 2003. The series earned a combined $2.9 billion at the box office, with 2003's Return of the King winning the Oscar for Best Picture, Jackson returned to direct The Hobbit in the 2012 to 2014 period. In a statement, Jackson and his Lord of the Rings partners, Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens, noted that they were aware of the latest development, said the trio, quote, Warner Brothers and Embracer owns the film rights to Lord of the Rings. Embracer actually bought the film rights and all of the IP rights to Lord of the Rings for $2 billion approximately over the last summer of 2022. Warner Brothers and Embracer have kept us in the loop every step of the way. We look forward to speaking with them further to hear their vision for the franchise moving forward. Jackson previously noted that Amazon asked him to be involved on its Lord of the Rings TV show, but then did not follow up. Well, why would Amazon not follow up with Peter Jackson, the guy who kind of made the Lord of the Rings franchise happen? Because they didn't care what Jackson had to say. They had their cute political agenda and their ideology that they wanted to focus on. They weren't so concerned about making it consistent with the quality and what fans would want and expect from Lord of the Rings based on the film. Now this is what they get in return. They get David Zaslav coming back at them saying, okay, well, Warner Brothers will take the franchise then away from Amazon. Amazon has a deal to make their TV shows. It's finite. They're going to make their TV shows. That's fine. But Zaslav is going to be working with Peter Jackson. Now, when Zaslav reaches out to Peter Jackson, it's not to play a bunch of games and see if they can get Peter Jackson to sign off on wokeism or whatever it is they're trying to do to change what the Lord of the Rings is all about and destroy the franchise. Zaslav is going to contact people who've proven their success in previous circumstances to bring their credibility back to new projects. Peter Jackson will be involved in one way or another to make sure that whatever it is that Lord of the Rings future films from Warner Brothers come to be, that they are high quality. Now here's a great article from Bounding Into Comics with a good assessment on what's going on. Warner Brothers Discovery to create new Lord of the Rings films that will, quote, honor the past, look to the future, and adhere to the strongest level of quality. When you make a statement like this, adhere to the strongest level of quality and honor the past, you know what kind of projects you're going to be getting from Warner Brothers Discovery. They're not playing games with ideology. And this is the difference between a Warner Brothers Discovery and a Disney, or Warner Brothers Discovery and what Amazon's doing with Prime. They have no agenda at Warner Brothers Discovery to push a new religion of ideology wokeism. All they're trying to do is to make successful movies that deliver on what fans want. They know if they make successful movies and content delivering on what fans want, they will make money, they will get more free cash flow, they will pay off their now reduced down to $45 billion in debt, used to be as high as $58 billion back in the day. Their stock will become more and more valuable, and they're very happy to deliver for their fans. There is no religious agenda, unlike at Disney, unlike at Amazon Prime. They just want to make content that people will get excited about. Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav announced during the company's fourth quarter 2022 earnings call that the company will be making multiple new Lord of the Rings films. It's not just a film. And this was great. Valiant Renegade does a great job. Their channel, definitely subscribe to these guys. He makes a point to make sure that whenever there's new quarterly results from an entertainment company we'd be interested in, like Disney or Universal, Warner Bros. Discovery, he will do it live and he'll comment on it live. Does a great job. It's a fun listen. Zaslav said, today I'm thrilled to announce that Mike DeLuca and Pam Abity signed a deal to make multiple Lord of the Rings movies. Lord of the Rings is one of the most iconic storytelling franchises of all time, and we are so excited. Following Zaslav's announcement on the earnings call, DeLuca and Abity issued a statement to Variety indicating that Lord of the Rings world remains largely unexplored. The duo detailed that New Line Cinema and director Peter Jackson took an unprecedented leap of faith to realize the incredible stories, characters, and world of The Lord of the Rings on the big screen. But for all the scope and detail lovingly packed into the two trilogies, the vast, complex, and dazzling universe dreamed up by J.R.R. Tolkien remains largely unexplored. On top of DeLuca and Abity's comments, Lee Guichard, CEO of Freemode, and this is the division of Embracer Corp, which owns the rights, which also owns Dark Horse Comics, which is kind of interesting. The company that holds the rights to Lord of the Rings when it comes to films, video games, board games, merchandising, theme parks, and stage productions, also told the outlet, following our recent acquisition of Middle-earth Enterprises, we are thrilled to embark on this new collaborative journey with New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers Pictures, bringing the incomparable world of J.R.R. Tolkien back to the big screen in new and exciting ways. He added, we understand how cherished these works are, and working together with our partners at New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers Pictures, we plan to honor the past, look to the future, and adhere to the strongest level of quality and production values. That's exactly what you want to hear. These are people serious about making good quality films that honor the franchise. It's not going to be reimagined for a new woke world. Really happy to see Zaslav doing this. Now, they're doing something similar with DC Comics. We'll see what the DCU looks like. James Gunn is definitely a strange and controversial figure. Who knows what he's going to do? We'll keep a close eye on it. We'll definitely comment on it on this channel. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you happy to hear that the Lord of the Rings is going to be reborn through new film trilogies with Peter Jackson involved in some way? He's the guy that made the film trilogies high quality and exciting in the first place. Let me know what you think, please, in the comments below. Always love to see your comments. Really, really do appreciate them. Please be sure you also subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.